Jeffrey Dahmer, a name that has become synonymous with terror and unimaginable horror. The name sends chills down your spine, evoking a sense of dread and fear that lingers long after you hear it. He was one of America's most horrific serial killers. Dahmer was different. He didn't just kill, he tortured, he experimented, he ate his victims. His methods were as twisted as they were terrifying, leaving a trail of devastation and heartbreak. Between 1978 and 1991, Dahmer murdered 17 young men. Each life he took was a story cut short, a future stolen. His crimes were gruesome, filled with unimaginable cruelty. The scenes he left behind were nightmarish, a testament to his depravity. How could someone do such things? What drives a person to commit such heinous acts? What went on inside Dahmer's mind? Was it madness, evil, or something else entirely? Psychologists and criminologists have long debated the nature of his psyche. This is the story of the Milwaukee Monster, a tale of horror that continues to haunt the collective memory of a nation, a dark chapter in the annals of crime. Jeffrey Dahmer was born in Wisconsin in 1960. Some say his childhood held clues to the monster he would become. Dahmer was a lonely child. He was interested in dead animals, even dissecting them. As a teenager, Dahmer became withdrawn and began drinking heavily. He struggled with his sexuality, hiding his homosexual urges. Experts believe these early signs of disturbing behavior foreshadowed his dark future. Dahmer's killing spree began in 1978. He picked up a hitchhiker, Stephen Hicks. Dahmer invited Hicks back to his house, just like he would with countless victims to come. Dahmer's urges turned deadly. He struck Hicks with a barbell, killing him. He then dismembered Hicks's body, scattering the remains. This first kill set the stage for a decade of terror. Dahmer's killings followed a horrifying pattern, one that shocked the nation and left a lasting scar on the community. He would lure young men, many of them gay and people of color, back to his apartment. These men, often marginalized and vulnerable, were promised money or a place to stay, a cruel deception that led them into a trap. Once inside, the real horror began. The dimly lit rooms and eerie silence masked the unspeakable acts that were about to unfold. Dahmer would drug their drinks, rendering them helpless. The unsuspecting victims, thinking they were safe, would soon find themselves unable to move or cry for help. Then he would torture them, often while they were still alive. The methods he used were brutal and inhumane, leaving a trail of pain and suffering. He drilled holes in their skulls, attempting to create zombies under his control. This macabre experiment was part of his twisted desire to dominate and dehumanize his victims. He took photos at each stage of his gruesome rituals, documenting his descent into madness. These images, later found by the police, provided a chilling glimpse into the mind of a serial killer, revealing the extent of his depravity and the horror he inflicted on his victims. In 1991, Dahmer's reign of terror almost continued. One of his victims, Tracy Edwards, managed a daring escape. Dahmer had Edwards handcuffed, but Edwards fought back. He punched Dahmer and fled into the street. Edwards flagged down a police car. He told the officers about the freak in the apartment. The police went back to Dahmer's apartment with Edwards. What they found would shock the world. Inside Dahmer's apartment, police discovered a house of horrors. The scene was beyond anything they had ever encountered before. The stench of decay filled the air, and the sheer amount of evidence was overwhelming. They found body parts in the refrigerator, meticulously preserved as if they were grotesque trophies. Skulls were hidden away in a closet, each one a grim reminder of the lives he had taken. And photos of his victims in various stages of dismemberment. These images were chilling, capturing the brutality of his actions and the suffering of his victims. Dahmer's trial was a media sensation. The courtroom was packed with journalists and spectators, all eager to witness the proceedings of one of the most infamous criminal cases in history. He was charged with 15 counts of murder, each charge representing a life brutally cut short. The evidence against him was overwhelming, leaving no doubt about his guilt, and sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms. The judge's words were final, ensuring that Dahmer would never walk free again. The families of the victims found some solace in the justice served. In 1994, Dahmer was killed in prison by a fellow inmate, a violent end to a violent life. His death brought a sense of closure to many, though the scars of his actions remain. Bringing an end to the life of one of America's most notorious killers, his story remains a dark chapter in criminal history, a reminder of the depths of human depravity and the importance of justice. Don't forget to like and subscribe to 0 Hour Files True Crime. I wish you a pleasant evening.